So golf ball first contact. Sounds so simple, doesn't it? But the problem for a lot of golfers is they'll get the tee shot away, and when the golf ball's on the ground there, they don't get that kind of contact that I just showed you. They don't get the club hitting the ball, then the ground afterwards. And what I tend to see with a lot of golfers is either that when they swing, they top it, or they take a divot, but it starts 2-3 inches behind the golf ball. And it just becomes incredibly frustrating because a lot of golfers feel that driver's hard, but we should be able to hit irons, wedges, and fairway woods from the floor with good contact. So let's look at the golf swing from a very simple perspective and understand how we achieve that contact. So from face on, the simple form is that golf club moves up on our backswing, moves down in the downswing, reaches the lowest point of its swing, and then starts traveling up. So whenever the golf ball's on the floor, it's really important that the lowest point of our swing is after the golf ball. Now, for a lot of golfers, first of all, they're not even aware of that. And because they tend to hit the ball poorly, they think touching the ground is a bad thing. So I would say the two key areas are low point ahead of the golf ball and also making sure the height of the golf swing is the correct height. Now, some of my videos I'll talk about low point and I'll show TrackMan, but a very easy way of looking at it is where the deepest part of your divot is when you're taking a divot is the lowest point of the swing. So we could see that shot there. The lowest point was probably 2-3 inches behind the golf ball. That's no good. So what we need to understand, I've got a 7-iron in my hand and I would play the ball fairly central and my weight would be 50-50 in my feet. So what we need to understand is how we actually get that point ahead and an extra little feeling that's going to get us doing that. So what we'll find is on the way back, the pressure in your weight will move a little bit into your right side, and then to start your downswing, you need to move towards the target, and then the body can turn out of the way. And that should instantly start to move that low point ahead of the golf ball. But an extra nice little feeling might be, rather than try to help the ball up in the air, which is a massive problem for a lot of golfers, almost feel that you're going to throw the club. Don't actually let go, but you're going to feel like you throw the club kind of down into the ground. And what you'll find is as you do that movement, the pressure will move forward, the hands will lead, and the arms will straighten after the shot. The widest part of the swing is going to be after, and we can see there I'm going to touch the ground much further forward. So have a couple of practice swings, see how that feels. You can see there, even though I didn't take a divot, I touched the ground there. So not taking a divot just means the height of the swing was a bit high, and you'll definitely do some swings where you feel a bit too high. Some you might feel too low and catch the ground a little behind, but the low point will still be ahead. So it's trying to feel that we touch the ground and take that divot after the golf ball. So we can see there, the ball would be here. The lowest point of my divot will be 2-3 inches ahead of the golf ball, and that just felt very, very simple. But you'll probably agree if you're watching this video, it does feel incredibly simple when there's no golf ball there. So what we're going to do now is we're going to set up to the golf ball with 7-iron, ball in the centre of the stance, put that swing on it, get that pressure moving forward, and feel like I throw the club more down towards the ground ahead of me. Okay, so the movement felt good. Just brushed the grass, which tends to be my bad one. So the low point control was good, but maybe the swing was just a little bit high, and therefore the strike was a tiny bit thin. Right, so let's go one more with 7-iron. Again, a better strike. And we can see there, even though I've not taken much of a divot, certainly the most interaction with the ground is probably 2-3 inches ahead of the golf ball. So that's really good and really solid with a 7-iron. Now I did mention wedges and fairway wood as well. So first of all, let's look at wedge. So for me as a coach, I never really like seeing the ball any further back than the centre of the stance. So I have my 7-iron very central, 7, 8, 9, pitching wedge and all my wedges in the middle for that full swing. And the idea being from there, as I move forward, the low point's going to be just inside my left heel. which is going to be slightly ahead of the ball and getting the club to travel down. You never need to hit down as long as that low point is ahead of the golf ball. So very much with wedge, as I was doing with 7-iron, slipped with my foot a little bit, but again, we can see that divot after the golf ball. The strike was good, and try and keep it as simple as possible. 7-iron down to lob wedge, nicely in the middle of the stance. Now, as the clubs get longer and less lofted than 7-iron, what we want is that golf ball to just move very slightly further forward. So I've got a 7-wood in my hands. So if 7-iron would be in the middle, maybe an inch, inch and a half forward. So the club is still going to be moving down into the golf ball, but because I've moved the ball nearer the low point, it's not moving down as steeply. And this is definitely when we get into the long irons, fairway woods, where I start seeing golfers really struggle getting that weight forward, not controlling low point, definitely not touching the ground. There's nothing wrong with taking a little bit of a divot with a fairway wood, as long as it's after the golf ball. So 7-wood, ball slightly forward, focus on the same movement as with the iron. Absolutely ripped that. Again, we can see a little bit of interaction with the turf after the golf ball. And if you can really make sure that from the top of the backswing, that first movement's forward and you feel like you throw the club, you're going to start controlling the low point, controlling the height of the swing, and getting that ball first contact every single time.